Every month, I send over 300,000 cold emails for my clients, and we consistently hit 98% inbox placement rates, while most agencies in the industry struggle to hit 30%. Now, I've worked with over 50 companies in the B2B space, and I've helped them generate over 1.2 million in revenue and 4.5 million in sales pipeline just through cold email. And if there's one thing that I've learned after launching thousands of campaigns, is that there's really only one thing that separates campaigns that absolutely print money from the ones that just burn through your budget. And that one thing is whether your emails actually make it to the primary inbox or not. Most B2B companies using cold email are basically sabotaging themselves before they even start because they're making technical mistakes that basically guarantee that their emails land in the spam folder. And it doesn't matter how good your copy is or how accurate your targeting is, because none of that stuff can save a campaign with a broken technical setup. So in this video, I'm going to break down the exact technical infrastructure and strategies that we use in order to consistently hit that 98% inbox placement rate, so you can actually get your emails delivered and stop wasting money on campaigns that just don't generate any results. First and foremost, before we get into the actual strategies, if you're watching this video, you're probably annoyed as hell because your cold emails keep ending in the spam folder. You've probably tried everything, writing better scripts, using different inbox providers, building multiple lead lists from different databases, and basically nothing is working. No matter what you do, within 3 to 4 weeks of launching a campaign, if you're lucky, you're in the exact same position, and you're basically forced to rebuild the entire infrastructure from scratch, which basically takes a lot of time, a lot of money as well. This is getting more and more common in the cold email space. It used to be less common a couple of years ago, but now you need to be extremely careful when you're setting up your campaigns, when you're setting up your infrastructure, but also when you're building your lead lists and you're verifying them and you're writing your scripts as well. You need to be really careful in order to avoid this loop. The first strategy has to do with the infrastructure. What you want to do with the infrastructure is basically horizontal domain scaling and warming up. Essentially, what you need to do is you're not going to use your main business domain, the one that you're hosting your website on, and you're also not going to use just one email account. What you want to do is you want to set up an X amount of dedicated domains just for cold email, and you then want to set up 2x email accounts. If you purchase 10 domains, you want to set up 20 inboxes. If you want to purchase 50 domains, you set up 100 inboxes. However many domains you buy, you want to basically set up double the amount of email accounts. And what you want to do is you want to split those email accounts 50% with Google and 50% with Outlook. The reason why you want to do this is because you don't want to put all your eggs in the same basket. You want to spread the risk, so if something goes wrong with your Google inboxes, you still have the Outlook ones that are working perfectly, and vice versa. Each inbox is going to be sending a maximum of 10 to 15 emails a day. Don't go beyond 15 emails a day, otherwise you're just pushing it and you might just get flagged as spam. Every new email account that you set up needs to go through a 14-day warm-up process before launching any cold email campaigns. So if you need to send 600 emails per day, you're not going to scale one inbox to 600 emails a day. You're going to scale 40 inboxes to 15 emails a day, and then each of those 40 inboxes need to be warmed up for a 14-day period. The reason why it's so important to scale horizontally is because what you're trying to achieve with cold email is that you're trying to replicate normal human sending patterns. No human sends 1,000 emails from a single inbox. It's just common sense that this is just not natural behavior. But if you have 40 people that are each sending 15 emails a day, that's completely normal. And anyone who's monitoring those inboxes is not going to see any suspicious behavior or any suspicious sending pattern. These email providers like Gmail and Outlook, they track your reputation per domain. So when you send hundreds of emails from one domain, you're basically just telling them, hey, this domain is mass cold emailing people, so please flag me as spam. But when you spread that volume across an X amount of domains, and each one of those domains is sending normal human volumes, then it's just far less likely that you're going to encounter any problems. Once you set up the inboxes, you want to warm them up for 14 days. The reason why you want to do this is that you're building positive engagement history. You're basically building your reputation. Just like with a bank, you need a good credit score. With cold email, you need a good domain reputation before you start launching cold campaigns. So it's exactly the same process. With the new accounts, you want to start sending 5 to 10 emails a day, and you want to gradually increase those to around 15 emails a day over a 2-week period. What this does is that if Google and Outlook see that this specific domain is getting a bunch of positive replies, then what they're going to think is that this sender is getting a good enough engagement, they must be trustworthy, they must know the people that they're reaching out to. For example, if you reach out to a colleague, then you're most likely going to get a response. That's basically what builds your sender reputation before you even reach out to a prospect. So if you do these things and you do warm up your domains and your email accounts for a 14-day period, then you're going to build your sender reputation. Then when you launch those cold outbound campaigns, you're not going to have any problems when it comes to landing in the primary inbox. So how do you actually implement all the things that I'm telling you to implement? First of all, you just want to go and buy a bunch of .com domains from reputable registrars like GoDaddy. Don't buy .info or .biz domains or anything that looks a bit scammy. There's a lot of people out there that say that .com domains don't really make a difference. We personally haven't seen massive difference through sending .com domains when it comes to the technical aspect of things. But the most important thing here, and the reason why we just always stick to .com domains is mainly just for the credibility, not so much from the inbox provider's perspective or from the recipient's perspective. If they receive an email from a .info domain, it just sometimes looks more scammy than a .com domain. One thing that's extremely important is that once you buy the domains, don't actually try to set them up with Google Workspace or Outlook. Don't do that manually. It's just a super tedious, expensive process as well. Not only expensive in terms of the time it takes to set each inbox up, but expensive in terms of the actual cost, which is going to be $6-7 per inbox. Whereas if you set it up with a reseller, which is what I'm going to explain to you in a second, you can almost half your costs, and it also takes a lot less time to set up, and you don't need to do anything. There's basically no point in 2025 to be setting up your accounts manually unless you want to pay more for some reason and spend a lot more time setting up your inboxes. When it comes to Google, we've been using premiuminboxes.com. This is basically a Google Inbox reseller, and you can set up your accounts for $3.50 per inbox, which is half of what it is go directly through Google, which is going to be $6-7 per inbox, and they handle the entire setup for you. They also then set up the inboxes in your sequencer, which is going to be Smart Lead or Instantly, for example, and they start the warm-up process for you. You basically don't need to do anything when it comes to the technical setup. For your Outlook accounts, you can go for Inboxlogy or Scaled Mail. These are the two that we've been using when it comes to Outlook. We haven't had any deliverability problems, and the benefit of doing this, once again, is that you get properly authenticated accounts with all your DNS records, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. For the warm-up, they handle everything for you. So in this entire process, all you need to do is buy the domains, and then you just need to submit an order with the resellers, give them your domains, and then basically they set up the email accounts for you. So you don't need to do anything. This is basically what you need to do when it comes to the infrastructure. If you do everything that I mentioned so far, this is going to massively help you with the technical aspect of improving your deliverability. The second strategy comes to script writing. So how can your scripts now improve your chances of landing the primary inbox? Well, it comes down to three things. No links, add spin tags, remove spam words. What you need to do, write plain text emails, zero HTML, no images, no tracking pixels or links. Use spin tags to create script variations so no two emails are identical. Plus, you want to run every email script through a spam word detection tool to remove spam words. Why do you need to do all these things? Every piece of HTML code, every tracking pixel, every linked image is basically a signal to the spam filters that this is a marketing email. The more you look like a promotional email, more likely you are to get marked as spam. So basically what you want to do is just remove every single link from your email and from your signature. Don't include your website. Don't include anything that has to do with a link. Just remove it. What it's going to do is just make it more likely that you get marked as spam. The other thing that you need to do is basically add spin tags. When you send 1,000 identical emails, it's a very easy pattern to detect because spam filters are looking for these abnormal patterns. When every email is exactly the same, that's a very easy pattern to detect. When every email is different though, because of all these spin tags variations, which I'm going to show you how to do, the spam filters cannot easily categorize your campaign as a mass email campaign. The third thing you need to do is basically remove all your spam words. Certain words are just automatic spam triggers, like the word free or the word guarantee. So if you're including these words in your scripts, it is going to potentially destroy your deliverability. So bear in mind, none of these things are going to 100% damage your deliverability. So if you take all the necessary measures, then you're just limiting your chances as much as possible from landing in the spam folder. Email providers are going to scan your scripts, and if you hit too many spam triggers, you're just going to get flagged. So how do you implement these three things that I've mentioned? Write your emails in plain text. Just remove all your links, remove all your images, any HTML tags, remove everything until it's all plain text. So if you need to direct people to another website, then just tell them to reply, and then you can send the information. So once you're already in the inbox, you can then send a link. In the initial outreach, you don't want to send any links. So this means that you do not track open rates as well, and you do not track your click-through rates. First of all, open rates, click-through rates, they're useless metrics regardless. If you are tracking open rates, then go and watch the video before this one where I basically tell you exactly what metrics to track and what not to track, but essentially just don't track those things. For spin tags, what you want to do is you want to basically add these brackets in your scripts. If you start off by saying, hey Alex, I noticed your website online, instead of just saying hey, you want to add this curly bracket and then say hi, hello, and hey. So what you're doing now is you're telling your sequence tool, whether it's Smart Lead or Instantly, in one email that you send out, I want you to say hi. In the next email, I want you to say hello. In the next email, I want you to say hey. And then for your transition words like I noticed or I saw or I found, you're doing exactly the same thing. So in one of the emails, it's going to say one variant. In the other email, it's going to use the other variant. And in the third email, it's going to use the third variant. So if you do this thing throughout your entire script, where for every single word or every single phrase that you have in your script, you're adding this curly bracket with 3 different alternative ways to say the same thing, this is going to really help your deliverability because it means that none of your emails are going to be identical. Even though you have one script, you already have 10 different variants of that same script because your sequencing tool is going to be mixing and matching all these different variants. You're making it a lot harder for the spam filters to identify that this is a mass email campaign. That's what you need to do when it comes to spin tags. This is super important when it comes to deliverability and inbox placement in 2025. The third thing you need to do is you need to use tools like Email Guard or similar spam word checkers just to remove all the spam words from your email. Write your script, add the spin tags, then upload the spin tagged version of the script into Email Guard, and then just make sure that you have a good spam score. It's going to return to you either a green output or a red output. If it's green, then you're good to go. If it's red, it's going to tell you what spam words you have that you need to remove, basically. One thing you need to keep in mind when it comes to spin tags is that you need to then test your spin tags combinations manually. Read through the script and make sure that every variant makes sense with every variant. If you're doing this with ChatGPT especially, it could create some awkward sentences that will actually damage your reply rate. So just make sure that everything makes sense. So this is what you need to do when it comes to the scripts. The final thing you need to do has to do with your lead lists. You need to clean and verify your lead lists. One thing you can do is just use 1 to 3 verification tools. Don't just use one, just to make sure that if one of the verification tools made like a slight mistake, then you can always cross-check with a second verification tool. And I'll tell you further down what verification tools to use. Then you should also regularly clean your list of non-responders or anyone who's bounced or complained in the past. Having a do not contact list is also standard practice. It's not just about removing bad emails or risk emails. It's about maintaining a good list hygiene that basically keeps your sender reputation high. Why do you need to do this? Well, bounce rates are one of the fastest ways to destroy your sender reputation. When your email bounces, it basically means that it's not even landing in the inbox. So this is not the same thing as landing in the spam folder. If your email bounces, there's 2 forms of bounces. You have a hard bounce and a soft bounce. But either way, it just means that your email is not landing in the inbox. But basically, when Google, Outlook, when they see that you consistently send emails to invalid email addresses, they assume that you're not a legitimate sender, because high bounce rates signal that you're purchasing poor quality lead lists, you're maybe scraping emails from a database, or you're basically just not maintaining and cleaning your database properly, which is all massive red flags to email providers. Just a general rule of thumb is that you want to try and keep your bounce rates below 4%. When you maintain clean lists with bounce rates under 4%, you're just more likely to be perceived as a professional sender, which is going to build trust and then also improve your reputation over time. How do you actually implement this entire strategy when it comes to lead lists? You want to verify the lead list. So you might be using Apollo to build the actual lead list, or any other database that allows you to build a list of companies or prospects. So you're going to build the list, you're going to export it from that database, and then you're going to import it into a verification tool. Million Verifier, Lead Magic, List Kit, there's a bunch of other verification tools. Don't skip this step. It is super important. What the verification tool is going to do is going to give you an option as to what kind of emails you want to then export. You want to export the good ones, the risky ones, or the bad ones. And obviously, you want to export the good ones. Then you want to remove an email with a verification status of one of these 3 terms here: invalid, catch-all, unknown. And also start building a do not contact list of people who you should never reach out to again, or at least never reach out to in the next 3 months or the next 6 months, or just in the near future. And a lot of people just think that, okay, I should have a do not contact list of my existing clients. I don't want to email my existing clients or even my past clients. But you could even take this a step further, which is not reaching out to people who previously responded aggressively or maybe threatened to take legal action sometimes. People who didn't just say no thank you or remove me from your email list. They were just basically very aggressive. So there's no point in reaching out to those people again because they gave you a firm no, basically. So in that case, you could even put those people on a separate do not contact list and just don't send them another email for the next 3 months, because you know that they're just basically not going to respond probably. And if they do, they're going to say no, and then it's just going to not impact your campaigns in a positive way. That's what you want to do with the do not contact list. Monitor your bounce rates in real time. Make sure that you're always in the 3 to 4% maximum. But if you're at above 4%, pause the campaign, try to identify what's going on, investigate or list quality or whatever the issue might be, and then just basically try and fix it. The reason why this entire list building process is so important and why it can affect your chances of then landing in the primary inbox more consistently and frequently is because a cleaner list leads to more emails being delivered, because your emails are not bouncing basically. If more emails are being delivered into the inbox, it means that you're going to get more responses. If you get more responses, you're going to improve your domain reputation. If you improve your domain reputation, it's then going to lead to a higher inbox placement rate in the long run as well. If your emails are bouncing, then it signals to these inbox providers that you're not cleaning your list, and that it could just be a cheap promotional campaign, which in that case is just going to affect your domain reputation negatively. And then because you're just physically getting less responses because your emails are not being delivered, it just means that a smaller percentage of the people you're reaching out to are actually responding back to you, because half of those people might not even exist or their email accounts don't exist. So in that case, it's just going to damage your domain reputation. So just make sure that you clean your list. So that covers the technical setup that you need in order to hit 98% inbox placement rates. Now that you've gone through this video, you'll definitely get way better deliverability than 90% of companies out there that are using cold email. But having said that, getting your emails delivered to the primary inbox is just one step of the process. Building a complete cold email system that converts that deliverability into 1 to 3 new paying clients on a monthly basis requires a lot more than just deliverability. You need personalized scripts, you need a targeted lead list, you need ongoing campaign optimization, and you also need to be monitoring your deliverability and all your metrics consistently throughout running the campaigns. Now, as you can imagine, I can't possibly cover all that information in one video, otherwise it would just be 10 hours long. So you now have two choices. You can take everything that I've given you in this video, set up the technical side by yourself, and I'm sure you'll get way better results if you do that, but it'll just mean that you'll have to figure out everything else by yourself. So if you don't want to do that, then your second option is just to click on the first link in the description to book a call with me if you want us to handle everything for you with our done for you setup to get you 1 to 3 new clients a month using cold email. And if you prefer to learn how to do it yourself, then just click on the second link in the description for my one-to-one cold email mentorship. Just fill in the application form, and then if we're a good fit to work together, then we'll reach out to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.